Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studio for today's version of the Sports Source. We have a lot to cover. A lot to cover. We've got a full house here to do it. Tennessee basketball loses at Auburn, so they fall to the 5 seed in the SEC tournament. What's their outlook without Zakai Ziegler? Are they as doomed as I seem to think they are? What's the grade for Rick Barnes on this regular season? We'll also talk about Tanu Vitello's suspension ended. He's back. Is the NCAA satisfied, or do they come creeping around again? We'll talk about Vols at the NFL Combine, who did themselves the most help, and who gave themselves the most help this week. We'll also look at past players, quarterbacks and receivers, from the Josh Heupel veer and shoot system that Baylor used to run. How do those guys translate to the NFL? Well, does that have an impact on how Tennessee's going to recruit in the future? Here's another one. Is Tennessee cursed? That's literally a question for later in the show. We'll get into it. We got a lot to cover. First segment of our program brought to you by our good friends at the Garza Law Firm. One thing I noticed when I watch local television is just how many attorneys, not from East Tennessee, advertise in East Tennessee. One way you can tell is when you look at their ads, there's no shots of them. There's no shots of them in the community, no shots of the community, no shots of you and your neighbors. That's not the case with Marcos Garza and his team of attorneys. That's because they are right here and they're ready to help you with whatever situation you found yourself in across East Tennessee. If you can hear my voice right now, if you can see me once this graphic goes away, you are in the marketplace to call the Garza Law Firm. Check out GarzaLaw.com. They even have a new office they recently opened up in Jacksboro, as a matter of fact. So the Garza Law Firm, GarzaLaw.com. All right, let's welcome in the first wave of panelists for today. Chuck Cavaleris, longtime sports writer in this community, longtime media fellow, mogul. Chuck, thanks for being here.
I'm a mogul, John.
And then the rest of these guys, I just realized, are all 99.1 The Sports Animal. We have the Jimmy Himes right here. Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Counting down the days. It's almost.
Can't count that high.
It's the end of this month, right?
It is.
All right, very good. But you're not leaving here. I keep
Right.
having people
That's
asking,
right.
what are you going to do with that Jimmy? He's retiring from radio.
That's right.
Not the big money of the Sports Source. Right over here we have 99.1 The Sports Animals. Josh Ward, Vince Ferrara. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. I appreciate both of you always coming in here. All right. So let's get into it. Tennessee falls 79-70 at Auburn yesterday. Not really a surprise. I think most of us on this show last week thought that they would beat Arkansas, lose to Auburn. Yeah. That was with Zakai Ziegler. When they lost Zakai Ziegler, I gave them a lot of credit for the way they handled business against Arkansas, because that could have been a deflating thing, and instead they rallied. I give them a little bit of credit because I didn't think they would hang around Auburn as long as they did yesterday, to be honest with you. But they fall in the end, and it was not unfamiliar territory. They kind of go in one of their we can't score modes. They were outscored 17-7 to finish the game. They had 0 fast break points for the day, 15 for Auburn, 0 for Tennessee. We've talked about that all season as well. And for those of you thinking, well, without Ziegler, it's just going to be more of a post-player production kind of a thing. You got 14 points from your 4 post players yesterday at Auburn. And then their vaunted defense, that kind of failed them, forced only 6 turnovers, gave it up 11 times themselves. I'll start with Josh. Everybody else just jump in. Biggest takeaways from yesterday's game?
Well, I'll give you a couple. One, I was impressed that they did hang around and fight back after falling behind in the second half. At that point, I thought, this could be bad on the road against a desperate team in a tough environment. So they fought back, but they also didn't have enough in the end, which has been a question all season long with Zakai Ziegler. Late in games, decision-making, play-making, who's going to generate on the offensive end? And the answer has actually been, well, it's probably Zakai. He'll create something.
Yeah.
But he's not there to do that. They didn't have that, and that's going to be the fear heading into the next phase of the season.
Yeah, the defense was a big part of it. I mean, this team is not good enough or consistent enough offensively to give up 79 points and then give up the fast break points. So not only did Tennessee not generate the fast break points, Auburn was able to get out and run and not have to deal with Tennessee's half-court defense. And then you saw, we talk about the energy and the scoring as Zakai Ziegler, you saw the liability of being able to keep quick guards in front of them. And they were able to get to the basket and penetrate and create from there. So you saw even more reasons why they need Zakai Ziegler. I know we'll get to that later on. But and the free throws, of course, continue to be an issue.
Well, you get outscored 21-4 on points off turnovers.
Right.
Yeah. That's a hard stat to overcome. Yeah. The other part of that was in the last 6 minutes and 12 seconds, Tennessee doesn't get a field goal. Would they have scored some with Ziegler during that time frame? Maybe.
What
would
were
they have won the game?
0 for 7?
0 for 7.
0 for 7.
So did they get a basket somewhere? Is it a little bit closer? Probably. But I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but when Wendell Green hit that three-pointer at the end of the half, I thought Tennessee's going to lose this game.
Yeah.
As well as they played in the first half, there's just something about that, the momentum that Auburn gained from that. And I know it just went from 7 points to 4, but when he hit that shot, I thought, Missouri, Vanderbilt,
Yeah.
Tennessee's in trouble.
Yeah, it's amazing how much that last bucket of a half can change the momentum.
Well,
of that
especially a
game.
buzzer beater.
Yeah.
You know, you have the ball, you're up 7. There's less than 20 seconds to go. You make a three, you go up 10 at half. You know, everything's there. You don't even get a shot. Auburn gets the ball back and was 1.3 seconds, then it was 1.4, but they hit the buzzer beater. Boys, they're just down 4, right? That's a big swing, and then it was the end of the first half and the start of the second. They played much better at the start of the second. Josh said, proud of the way Tennessee battled back, yeah, but once they started shadowing Santiago, once they started shadowing Vescovi and took him out of it, finally, there was nothing left.
Well, and to Vince's point on the defensive side, Zakai was a guest at the start of the second half on the TV broadcast, and the first thing that he said is, we have to defend better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Auburn scored 2 quick buckets to tie the game at the start of the second half, and Wendell Green or a guard that can penetrate, Zakai's very important there. So fans are probably tired of hearing about, well, defense, but we also recognize that's how they succeed, right? Well,
you better be good with defense.
Yeah, so now you take away, he's important on both ends. You take away Zakai's ability to defend the ball, well, that puts more pressure on the defensive side before we even get to the offense.
But I'm tired of seeing Tennessee play Auburn at Auburn on senior day. It seems like it's
SEC likes to put
I
Paul
know.
versus UT in the last game of the year.
So now you've lost 4 in a row at Auburn. You've lost 5 straight road games.
Yeah, and you lost 6 of your last 10 overall.
Right.
And they had won 9 straight. If you count, even if you count, it was 6 in conference play going back to last year in regular season. But then the 3 games in Tampa, they had won 9 straight away from Thompson-Boling Arena against SEC competition until this losing streak on the road.
Vols fall to the 5 seed in the SEC tournament. You mentioned buzzer beaters. Missouri hitting a buzzer beater to beat you here in Knoxville gives them the 4 seed. Tennessee gets the 5 seed. That means you get 1 bye in the tournament, but you don't get the double bye that they were looking for. There has been some discussion that could be a good thing. Now, look, we all have different takes in this world. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. You guys may all think that's a good take. And I know Mike Wilson wrote that sentence. I think Mike Wilson's an excellent writer. But with that take, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't buy that this is a good thing. The idea is that you've got an extra game now to figure it out without Zakai Ziegler. Well, it's an extra game if you make the finals. You know, if you just lose 1 game, it's 1. If you lose the first game, it's still just 1 game without to get used to playing without Zakai Ziegler. To me, that seems just kind of hopeful. That seems kind of positive. I don't buy this as no. It's a good thing because you get more time without Zakai Ziegler before the NCAA tournament. I just don't see them doing well enough in the SEC tournament to where it's going to fix the ills when they get into the NCAA tournament.
Without him, there's a greater risk of being one and done.
Yeah.
Right.
So that doesn't benefit you to play, quote, extra games. if
there
you
is no
get beat.
extra game.
Correct.
Right.
So, and this team is capable of beating just about anybody in the country, but they're capable of losing to just about anybody they would play in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
So some would say if they do lose, that maybe that's a good thing in another sort of spin towards the positivity. Maybe because the season has been such a grind, that them getting bounced quickly, give them a little bit extra time before the tournament, maybe that would be a positive thing. I'm not saying I believe in that. I'm just saying I think you can spin it that way also.
But think about this. If they play South Carolina and they don't beat South Carolina?
After beating them by 40 points twice.
Yeah. Boy, would that put an ominous outlook on the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
This team, it's almost like I feel like they do better when they're doubted. Like when they have the expectation, sometimes it seems like there's maybe more pressure there and they feel it. Maybe this team being doubted and just having no expectations going into the tournament, maybe that would rally them somehow. But how long would that last? Would that last a game or two and then come
Yeah, we might find out because they're going to be doubted.
Yeah. Also, look, it's a one-dimensional team.
Right.
If you're a two-dimensional team and your defense fails you on a night, your offense may be able to win it for you. But when you're a one-dimensional team, which this team, the odds of the offense saving them on a night when their defense doesn't play well are very slim. Now you take Ziegler out of it.
Right.
Those odds of the offense saving them on a bad defensive night are even slimmer. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Doesn't mean they can't go out one night, shoot 60%, and take down the number one team in the country. That's basketball. But we'll discuss more of it going forward.
They were fine offensively against Auburn until the last 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, and then, all right. Tell you what, let's tell you what's coming up on today's show. If we can get the graphic up there, I can read it. There it is. Tennessee Southeastern Conference Tournament path. They are the defending champions. Can they defend? SEC Tournament path, the NCAA seeding, where does that stand today? Grading Rick Barnes for the regular season. Tony Vitello returns. VFLs of the Combine, veer and shoot quarterbacks and wide receivers in the NFL. And UT haunted by injuries in March. We'll get into that a little bit later in this show. All right, when we come back, what will the impact of losing Ziegler be? Is it as doom and gloom as I seem to think? Also, what does this mean for next year? Because he's going to miss time next year as well. And, most importantly, Rick Barnes played a deep rotation this year, deeper than he usually does. Not deep enough to get B.J. Edwards ready. Is that a legit second guess at this point, or are we nitpicking? Come on back on the Sports Source.